we continue with our discussion on the hydraulic turbines, and we now try to develop a bit of a greater insight into the Pelton turbine working principle. So, if you have a nozzle here which is sort of diverting a fluid jet, what is the head that is available with the nozzle? That is H0 minus summation of all the head losses in the penstock. And ideally the nozzle should develop a velocity or the velocity of the jet as what? Root 2 GH. That is, the entire head could be converted into the kinetic energy of the jet, but in reality that does not happen because there is some loss in the nozzle. So, it is multiplied by some fraction Kn, which is the sort of nozzle efficiency, so to say, and it is not very less than 1, it is quite efficient, but it may be something of the order of 0.95 like that. So, and you can find out what is the flow rate that the nozzle is supplying, it is Vj into pi dj square by 4. Now, the next thing is when you consider that what is the speed with which the jet is falling on the bucket, next is that what is the speed with which, what is the rotational speed with which this wheel will rotate, and if you have a tangential speed u, then the tangential speed u is nothing but that is omega into r. So, pi d n by 60. This is the tangential speed at the pitch circle. So, that you have to understand. So, this is related to the head in a with a particular efficiency, because there is a relationship between, say, an optimum value of this u and the optimum value of the v at which the fluid is falling on the bucket. So, typically this is some parameter phi into this root 2 GH. We will see that theoretically an ideal value of this parameter phi is 0.5. We will prove that theoretically, but the practical value is a bit less than that because of the losses in the nozzle and so on. So, the practical value is like 0.46, 0.47 like that, but the theoretical value of this is 0.5, that we will show. Now, there are many other important parameters. One important parameter is the ratio of the diameter of the wheel is to, so the diameter of the wheel is like this one, that is capital D, is to the diameter of the jet, and this is a very important ratio, and the number of wheels, the number of buckets in a wheel is dependent on this ratio. So, what do you expect? If this ratio is higher, the number of buckets on the wheel will be more or less? It has to be more, because for a given jet you have a higher diameter pi or higher diameter wheel. So, that should be, if the pitch between the buckets is sort of something which you consider as something standard, then you should have more number of buckets. So, typically the number of buckets will be of the form of say A plus BM. A may be like something between say 12 to 15, this is roughly like 0.5. These are rough figures and these come from some design considerations. We do not have enough scope to discuss of all these design considerations. Now, what we will do here is we will consider some of the basic theoretical aspects of this performance of the buckets. So, if you consider, if you draw the bucket in the way in which it is facing the fluid, it is something like this. So, this is the bucket, the water is coming from this side, it is interacting with the bucket and the bucket is deflecting it. So, actually the water jet which is coming is getting split into two parts, and there is something, there is a particular structure which allows it to split it into two parts. This is known as a splitter ridge. The flow rate may be controlled by something known as spear, which is there in the nozzle. What it basically does, you can allow it to move axially in and out. So if you take it axially in, then what it does is it restricts the flow passage. If you take it axially out, then what happens, it allows more flow passage. So there is something which can move along the axis of the nozzle, and depending on its axial location, it may allow a particular area of flow and therefore a particular flow rate. So the spear is something which is, because of its movement, it can control the rate of flow. So with that control rate of flow, say there is some fluid which is coming and falling on this bucket. So we are just drawing one bucket, and let us concentrate on what happens in one side of the bucket. So if you want to draw the velocity triangles, so first of all you have a velocity of the wheel as u, plus you have the velocity of the water relative to the wheel, and that is w. We are using the same symbol that we use for the pumps, and here all those are in the same direction, and the absolute velocity v1 is the sum of the, here just the scalar sum, because they are in the same direction, fundamentally the vector sum. Now when the fluid leaves the blade passage, it has a change in direction, so it has a relative velocity with respect to the bucket, so that is w2. Then u2 and u1 are the same, it is the same u, because it is the same radius, no matter what is the inlet or the outlet, it is the same radius, and therefore the resultant velocity is the vector sum of these two. So u2 and u1 are the same, and this angle, let us say this, we call that as beta 2, just by following the same nomenclature as we use for the pumps. And this, when we consider, that means there is a deflection of the jet by an angle theta, where theta is 180 degree minus beta. So let us find out that what is the power developed. So what is the power developed here? So you should have u1 v theta 1 minus u2 v theta 2 by g as the head developed. So this is like so the fluid had a particular head with which it entered, it sacrificed some head and its head came down. So this is the difference, that is the head that is being imparted to the rotor. So u1 v theta 1 minus u2 v theta 2 by g, the same formula, just remember it is the reverse for the pump, because the direction of energy flow is reverse. For the pump it was u2 v theta 2 minus u1 v theta 1 by g, here is the other way. So 1 and 2 points are just exchanged. So you have u1, what is v theta 1? V theta 1 is v1, that is, let us write u1 and u2 same as u, because they are the same. So in place of u1 we are writing u, in place of v theta 1 is same as v1, that is u plus w1 from the velocity triangle. What is u2? u2 is u, v theta 2, what is v theta 2? So if you consider this triangle, this is v theta 2. So v theta 2 means, v theta 2 is u minus w2 cos beta 2. Now typically there is a ratio between w2 and w1 which is called as the friction factor of the blade, or here the bucket, friction factor of the bucket. So you have w2 is equal to kw1, because the physical reasoning is straightforward, because of some friction in the flow passage there is some reduction in the relative velocity. If it is a frictionless flow, then k equal to 1. So let us consider w2 equal to kw1. So this here, if you take u common, this is w1 plus kW1 cos beta 2 by G. So, U into W1 into 1 plus k cos beta 2 by G. You can write W1 as again V1 minus U. So, U into V1 minus U into 1 plus k cos beta 2 by G. For impulse turbines, there is a particular terminology called as wheel efficiency. Usually hydraulic efficiency is used wherever you have a pressure change as well. So, here you just have some energy change based on the input form of energy, which is the kinetic energy form. So, the wheel efficiency, it is again a indicator of the energy conversion efficiency of the wheel. It is defined as this, like whatever is the energy, whatever is the power output because of that. So, m dot into G into H, if this is H, that is the power output. The power input is nothing but half m dot V1 square, that is the kinetic energy input, where m dot is rho into Q. So, you can write this one as U into, so 2U into V1 minus U into 1 plus k cos beta 2 by V1 square. So, it may also be written as 2 into U by V1 into 1 minus U by V1 into 1 plus k cos beta 2. Okay. So, you can find out, so this is, so what it says that what is the efficiency in conversion from the kinetic energy form to the head to the energy that is the output from the turbine. So, if you want to have a maximum value of this, then that means most efficiently or most effectively the kinetic energy of the jet is converted into useful work. So, for maximum value of this, you must have the derivative of the wheel efficiency with respect to U by V1. U by V1 is a parameter here, other things are geometrical parameters, that is equal to 0. So, from here you will get that U by V1 is equal to 0.5. So, that this is called as an optimum speed ratio. So, speed ratio is the ratio between the speed of the wheel to the speed of the water that is falling on the wheel, and an optimum value of that is 0.5. As we mentioned that this optimum value may not be the reality, because in practice there are losses and so on in the nozzle. So, this value may be a bit deviated, bit less than 0.5, maybe 0.45, 0.46 like that. Okay. Now, the next type of turbine that we will discuss is the Francis turbine. So, when we discuss about the Francis turbine, just for the sake of convenience, we may keep in mind that as if we are inverting the operational direction of a centrifugal pump. It is not exactly like that, it is an oversimplification, but somehow it helps in initial understanding. So, what you have in a Francis turbine? So, we will first consider a blade passage and then some of the more details. So, you have a runner. We have mentioned that the rotor of the Francis turbine is called as a runner. So, you have a runner with certain blades. These are rotating blades, but there should be something which would be giving a fixed direction to the water falling on these blades. So for that you should have certain blades which guide the flow, and those are called as guide vanes or guide blades. In some cases those are given alternative names as wicket gates. So these are rotating blades. We will now on the top of these have some guide blades. Just we are drawing it schematically. So these are known as guide vanes or guide blades or sometimes wicket gates. Now let us say that this is a penstock. So penstock is the pipe through which you are having supply of the water to the turbine runner. So this is the runner. So now what is happening is you are having a supply of flow in a way such that the area available for flow is continuously reducing. If you consider the flow passage or flow path, that will be quite clear. So you have some water entering like this is the penstock. So when the water is entering like this, see, first of all it goes through this. So this is in the shape of something like a spiral, very much analogous to the volute casing of a centrifugal pump. So this is a spiral casing, and we will see what is the role of this one. So continuously the fluid enters the blade passage. So say first some fluid enters the blade passage here. So when the fluid enters the blade passage, you have the same rate, you want to maintain the same rate of flow, because you want to have the entire runner receiving the same rate of flow, and that is possible if you continuously reduce the area. So what is basically happening is some flow is entering here, so that there is a reduced rate of flow. So what I meant as the same rate of flow is not literally the same rate of flow, but flow velocity. So if you have a particular Q here, because of the entrance of some water in this passage, the Q has reduced, so the area will also continuously reduce, so that the velocity which is Q by A, that does not get changed as the fluid is entering different places in the different locations of the circumferential part of the runner. Now what these blades do, these blades are sort of these are flexible blades. So these blades, they may change their orientations, and accordingly these may give certain directions to the water which is now falling on the actual blades of the turbine rotors, these ones. So these are the guide blades and these are the blades of the rotor. So the guide blades will, or the guide vanes will give a guidance or direction to the water, and based on their relative orientation they are flexible. So they are actually pivoted, and they might rotate, they might have different orientations around that pivot. So sometimes if these are fully closed, then you may have very little flow of water that is entering into the runner, and sometimes that is used for controlling the power output. Say there is a variation in the load. So when the load is high, load means the demand of power. So when the load is high, you will have more power that needs to be produced by the turbine, but when the load is low, you do not require that much of power to be produced. So but the head developed by the runner, that is sort of that is given by that momentum principle. So only way you can change or reduce the power is by playing with the flow rate Q. So you can play with the flow rate by having a closure of the partial closure of the inlet to the moving blades, and that is also one of the important purposes fulfilled by the guide blades. So they not only may give the orientation of the flow, but they may also have a control of the flow. Not only that, see when the fluid passes through this passage between the guide blades, it sort of it is as if it is like an artificial nozzle. So it tries to impart some energy, or as if there is a jet with a jet issued from the nozzle that is falling on the blades. There is no real nozzle, but the passage between the guide blades acts like an artificial nozzle. That is why we say that even though it is a reaction turbine, it still has some impulse component, because at the end there is an impulse of a jet that is falling on the rotating blades. So when the fluid when the jet falls on the rotating blades, let us try to construct velocity triangles and see that what happens. So you have this as say 1 and this as 2, so the points 1 and 2 just very much analogous to centrifugal pumps, only the reverse flow direction. So you have say this is as U1, this is W1 and this is V1. Let us say that this is beta 1 and let us say this is alpha 1. What is the physical importance of the angle alpha 1? See, this is the angle at which the water jet falls on the blade. Who decides that? The guide vane decides that. So this is also known as the guide vane angle or guide blade angle. So there is a difference between the guide vane angle and the blade angle, that you have to understand. This is the blade angle. Again there is a matter of convention, because sometimes 180 degree minus this one is also considered as a blade angle depending on conventions. So either this one or maybe the other one, but physically it implies that the angle between U and W, either at the acute one or the obtuse one, depending on the convention. So here we will be following this convention where we will consider this angle as beta 1, because that will make our analysis consistent with what we did for the centrifugal pump. Then for the outlet, the water is coming say like this with W2, then there is on the top of that there is U2 and the resultant is V2. So what is the head developed by this one? U1 V theta 1 minus U2 V theta 2 by G, right? The same formula, we are not changing anything, only application of the formula changes. So remember, this is beta 2, this is alpha 2. So we can see that this will be the maximum one if alpha 2 is equal to 90 degree, then V theta 2 is 0, there is no theta component of V2. So that is what we design here. Let us say we consider alpha 2 equal to 90 degree. If we consider alpha 2 equal to 90 degree, then it is just U1 V theta 1 by G. Now just like all rotors have certain efficiencies of energy conversion, the runner of a Francis turbine also has an energy has an efficiency of energy conversion. What is that? That is given by a name of blade efficiency. So blade efficiency is given as this ratio. Why this ratio? See, efficiency is what? Efficiency is always some output by the input, where the difference in output and input represents some loss. That means you can intuitively understand that this must represent some loss. Why this represents a loss? See, when the fluid leaves the blade passage, still it has some kinetic energy here, V2 square by 2G. That kinetic energy head has not been utilized to develop power, and therefore in terms of converting that energy of the fluid into work, that is a loss, and that is why this is the expression for the blade efficiency. Now one may manipulate with this expression a bit more in terms of the geometrical features. This may be written solely in terms of the geometrical features. So you can see that you have V2, since theta 2 is alpha 2 is 90 degree, you have V2 is equal to VR2. The total component of the velocity at 2 is radial, there is no theta component. Then usually these turbines are so designed that the blade width and the radius, they are adjusted in a way that you have VR2 equal to VR1. You see these depend on what? VR is Q by the area. So the area contains one diameter and one breadth at that particular diameter. So breadth, if the diameter is reduced, the breadth is increased in such a way that Q by that ratio that remains almost the same, so that you have VR2 equal to VR1. This is a practical design consideration. So that means you can write this as well as, if you consider V theta 2 as 0, as U1 V theta 1 by G divided by U1 V theta 1 by G plus VR1 square by 2G, right. In place of V2 we have substituted VR1. We may just manipulate it a little bit by adding and subtracting 1. The whole purpose is, in the numerator you will have now the VR1 square by 2G, then U1 V theta 1 by G plus VR1 square by 2G, 1 minus that. Okay. Now we just manipulate it a couple of more steps. So the blade efficiency therefore may be written as 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus U1 V theta 1 by G into VR1 square by 2G. So the whole idea is that this ratio we may write in terms of the geometrical features of the triangle. So let us try to write this ratio. This is 2 U1 V theta 1 by VR1 square. So first of all, can you write U1 and V theta 1 in terms of VR1? So look into the velocity triangle. So this is what? This is VR1. What is V theta 1? This is V theta 1. So you can write that V theta 1 by VR1 is equal to cot alpha 1, right. And how you can relate U1 with that? You can write U1 is equal to V theta 1 minus this part. What is this part? This part is VR1 cot 180 degree minus beta 1. So minus VR1 cot beta 1. So minus of minus VR1 cot beta 1. Right? Thank you.